Welcome to our yin yoga for today, and the focus of the yin yoga class is going to be lower back. So you will need some stuff to play with. You can have blocks. If you haven't got a bolster, by all means, pillows, cushions, blankets, anything that you can use to prop yourself that's nice and comfortable. So don't worry if you haven't got these toys. You can just use what you've got around the house. So like I said, pillows from your bed is quite a good substitute for these. So focusing on stretching and releasing of the lower back. So we're actually going to start on our back for something that's called the recline twist. So I shall have my legs going to the right first. Just thinking what side you are on. Actually, I'm going to do it to the left first, just so you can see on the camera. So we're going to be holding the pose for 3 minutes on each side. So I'm just going to put the bolster there. You might find that you don't actually need any equipment, but I always like to start with the equipment because sometimes, you know, if your back is stiff, imagine you've just done a 5-hour drive somewhere and your back's feeling really stiff, then sometimes you're not going to be as mobile as you will be on other times. So I always like to start with the equipment, see how that feels, and then maybe you can take some away if you find you're not getting a stretch, because often we want to work too intensely, too quickly, and with yin yoga we really want to ease into it. Just notice my toes all scrunched up. Right, so you can have a block under your head. I often find that kind of blocks too much, so I'll just take a little cushion and put it under there. So I'm going to start with this. I have got a little timer here, so if you see me fidget, that's what I'm doing. So just to start with, just bring the knees into the chest for a minute. Let's bring ourselves into the space. Now, if you can't reach the front of your thighs, then just hold behind the thighs. Or you can hold it like that. So I'm just giving the lower back a moment just to release off. Good. So you have your blocks or your blanket or whatever it is on your left-hand side. So as you're giving your knees a hug, we're going to take the knees over towards the left and onto your bolsters or your cushions or whatever you've got. And then your arms will come into a T position. So this is why I wanted to work towards the left first, because I want you to notice the left, the right arm and the right shoulder. So just be mindful if you're lying there and this is all coming off of the floor, it wants to be down on the floor, and you want this really nice space across the arm, the collarbone, towards the other fingers. And then depending on your neck, you can either look up towards the ceiling or you can look towards the opposite hand. So some days my neck doesn't like this and some days it does. So just see how that feels. There's nothing wrong with looking up. And then just relax. So like I said, I'm just going to put the timer on quickly. Sometimes I see videos of yin yoga and I've got no idea how they know how long they've been there. So just bring your awareness to your face and just relaxing your eyelids, your jaw. Think of the space from the fingertips of one hand across the chest to the fingertips of the other hand. So if you can't feel anything in your back, then you can either cross the top leg over the bottom one to intensify that, or perhaps you can take a cushion away. If you feel like it's too much, then sending your knees away from the body will release that a little bit. Breathe fully into the right rib cage, so we can use breath to help stretch off muscles and tissues. So really trying to expand your right side of your body. Relax into your inner thighs. So sometimes there might be a little bit of gripping. Just relax your inner thighs. Relax your ankles and your toes. Just let it all go. If you feel like the discomfort has reduced, you can intensify that a little bit more. Take blocks away or your cushions away. Keep the shoulders nice and relaxed. And then just slowly as you breathe out, bring the knees back up to the chest. Lovely. So, hope you are still with me. So from here, we're going to take the bolster over to the other side now. And then we'll start again. So just give the knees a little cuddle. And sometimes you'll find one side is a lot more looser or stiffer. So don't be surprised if there's a bit of a difference between the two. So from here, giving the knees a hug, and I'm just going to take the knees over onto the bolster. And then the arms are open, T position. So for me, this side's feeling a little bit more stiff. So although I can go a little bit deeper by crossing the top, just for the first minute or so, I'm just going to let the tissues settle in this position. Otherwise, I can feel the left shoulder is trying to pull off of the floor, and I want to keep that left shoulder nice and relaxed. So 3 minutes. And you will find that maybe after a minute, that pulling releases, and then you can start to take it a bit deeper. So one of the principles of yin is the effort. So we don't want to be forcing things. This is not like hatha yoga. This is not like dynamic stretching. We just want to find that point of discomfort, the edge. And then we hold it there, and you'll find that that discomfort releases. And then you can take the body a little deeper. So like for me, I can feel that's released already. So I'm just going to increase that a bit more. So remember, your head can be up towards the ceiling, or you can look towards the left. Soften your eyelids. Create space between your back teeth so you're not clenching the jaw. That will also help the neck to relax. And then thinking of this length from your fingertips of your left hand across the chest to the fingertips of your right hand. Just relax your torso. And then breathe into the left side body. So imagine the breath in is trying to expand that rib cage. Relax your inner thighs. Your ankles and your feet. As soon as your mind starts to wander, just bring your attention back to the position your body's in. Stay connected with the inhalation being nice and full into your left side. And just visualize any tension, any stress leaving your body with every exhale. Breathing fully into the side body. Exhaling stress and tension. And then just bring your attention back into the room. On your breath out, your tummy will draw in and then bring your knees back up to the chest. Good. So just moving your equipment out the way. Roll onto your side and then just give yourself a little push up into a seated position. So we're coming into caterpillar. So depending on your flexibility when you sat in this position, if you find that when you try and sit up with your legs out in front, if you find you're in that kind of position, just propping a little cushion or block under your bum will help you to have more space in this area. The only thing you want to be aware of is the back of the knees. So if you are hypermobile in your knees, so the knee pushes through, it goes bendy backwards, and just pop little pillows under the back of the knee just to support the joint. Because we're going to be leaning forward, if you do have hypermobile knees, we're going to be hyperextending the knees, and we don't want to be doing that. Okay, so you can just have little cushions. Oh, going to sneeze. Or maybe not. So just make sure that you're looking after the back of the knees. So sometimes people don't even know that they've got hypermobile knees. So you can see I've got space between the back of the knee and the floor. Now, if you're hypermobile, sometimes you're not going to have any space there. It depends on how they hyperextend. So just be very cautious with the joints. So I'm actually going to come onto the floor. And then you have different options with this. I'll show you the position and then I'll show you some variations. So for me personally, I've got arms like orangutans. So I like to just fold forward and then put my hands under the calves, and the calves, the weight of the legs holds me there. I don't need to use much effort. But you might have shorter legs, shorter arms, and may not be able to reach. So you can just have the hands down to the side. You may want to prop your head on some blocks, bolsters, all sorts of positions that you can be in. You can even have some pillows and just relaxed into that position, okay? So remember, this is not like, if you've never done yin yoga before and you've perhaps done other kinds of classes, this is like nothing you've ever done before. We really don't want to be forcing ourselves into the body, because yin yoga works on the connective tissues within your body, your joints, your tendons, your ligaments, fascia. So when we're trying to force a stretch, we're working more with muscle. But this, with yin yoga, we want to work with the tissues. So just a gentle stretch helps to get the juices flowing in the joints. And we never want to stretch tendons or ligaments because they don't come back. They're not elastic, so they don't come back to their original size. So you could also use some blocks like this. And there's pros and cons. Okay, so you can have blocks like that. So some days my neck feels okay to have a block under, and sometimes it feels okay to just let it hang, and there are benefits to just letting your head hang. Other days I need to have a block just because I might have a bit of pain in my neck. So you choose, just have a little fiddle, choose which one feels. So for some people you might be feeling this more in the back of the legs. Some people it might be in your lower back, which is what I'm really trying to target, but you will get it where you need it. Some people might even feel it in the shoulders or everywhere. Okay, so let's get started. So I'm going to put my hands under there and just melt forward. Now, if you are hypermobile in the hips, people tend to lie there. So I really want you to imagine that your lower back is going to the wall behind you and your head's trying to go towards the knees in that space there. And then we're just going to settle. So if you're like me and you're not going to use a block under your head, what I really want you to focus on is just letting the neck go and letting everything around the face go. So I often try and think of, just imagine the skin is hanging on your face. Because what you might find is when you can release everything over here, gravity will hold the head, and then you get decompression of the neck. So gravity starts to pull the skull away from the neck bones. And if you think of the weight of the head, starts to pull each vertebra away from the other one. So it decompresses your neck. It's really lovely. But if you do have really tight neck muscles, so if you get any neck or shoulder pain, you might find this quite uncomfortable. Like I can feel it really burning in the shoulder blades now. But actually this is doing me the world of good. As soon as you feel any discomfort ease, then maybe you can go a little bit deeper. But remember, the aim's not to force the body. Some days you'll get a lot of release, some days you won't. Just come back to your breath. Really trying to just slow your breath down. Just find stillness in this position, trying not to move anything. Let the head be heavy if it's not on any blocks or cushions. And then just very slowly bring yourself up. And I often find sometimes coming out of the poses is more intense than being in them. So just give everything a little jiggle. So the last one we're going to do. So often when we're sitting all day, we're in this very closed space here. So when we're driving a car, sitting at a desk, watching TV, having lunch, we tend to be in this very closed space between the hip and the leg. So that can cause issues in the lower back. So what we're going to do is turn over and just open up the space. So if you start noticing like a lot of back discomfort, then that's just a little hint that your psoas muscle might be a little bit tight. So there's a video in the introductory videos about your psoas muscle, so you can go and watch that. So grab your cushions or pillows or whatever you've got. Again, you don't have to have equipment. You can just use a blanket or the floor. Now, how high you come up with this is entirely up to you. You might want to just have the bolster in that position. So just having a very small curve, or you might want to come up into this position, or you might want to have the bolster a little bit lower so it's quite high. The other thing you can have a play with is your legs. So the closer together the legs, the more beneficial actually, but for some of you that might be more intense. So you can just have a play with the legs, just maybe having them hip width apart. So although we do want some kind of discomfort in the body, if it's causing you agony and pain, have the legs wider, have the bolster more forward, okay? And in time, as you stretch and as you release and you get more into the classes, then slowly but surely you can start to bring the legs together. So find your point of discomfort. Not pain, you don't want to be lying there in agony. And then last 3 minutes for this one. So if you are leaning on your shoulders, just try not to have your shoulders hunched up to your ears. That's why I quite like to have a bolster where that can take the weight. Although I don't really have boobs, so if you've got bigger boobs, sometimes they're a little bit in the way. You can also put your head in your hands. Because what we're focusing on the lower back. Just trying to take this lower back into what's called an extension, a little back bend. Your gaze can be towards the floor in front of you. Just relax. So this is quite a simple pose in terms of the technical side of it. But often this can be a little bit harder for your mind to stay present. So really try and stay focused on perhaps your breathing. Making sure that each breath is a gentle, calm, deep, full breath. And each exhale is this long breath. You can use a body scan as well to try and help stay present. So I can notice my shoulders want to hunch a little bit. So really just being mindful of any tension that's creeping into the body. Or perhaps the sensation is reduced and you want to take it a little bit deeper. And then just move your bolster out the way. And then bring yourself back up into a seated position. And then, again, just give the knees a little hug with that. So I hope you enjoyed that yin yoga session. It's just so different to everything else that I've taught before, and especially as I get older and the clients that I deal with, they absolutely love you. Because you might not feel it that much now, but tomorrow you'll go, oh yeah, I can feel that, where the tissues and the muscles have had to release a little bit. So that is all for the yin yoga class. I shall see you soon. Bye.